So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Renewable Heat Now campaign's monthly grassroots meeting. I'm Jen Rand, an organizer with New Yorkers for Clean Power, and I'm so glad you're here with us tonight. Thanks again for the wait, um, and um, looking forward to sharing more with you. So tonight, next slide, please. Tonight, we're going to be sharing a little bit about the campaign. Many of you already know all about us. Then we're going to talk about our budget priorities and some memos that we've been working on. And then we're going to hear from a building home energy expert, Matt Dennis from Helco. Then Andra's going to run us through the legislative session timeline and the mini lobby days we've been putting on. And then I will share a little information about two mobilizations that are coming up, and we'll take action together. Next slide, please. So for anyone who hasn't joined us before tonight, Renewable Heat Now is a campaign to accelerate equitable building decarbonization throughout New York State. And our organizations work together to pass legislation, influence regulations, and educate the public and state leaders about energy efficiency, reducing fossil fuel demand, and making sure the transition to clean energy is affordable for all New Yorkers. Next slide, please. So, why do we focus on buildings? Because it's the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions. Comes from burning fossil fuels for heating, cooking, and hot water in our buildings, as well as from the methane that leaks at every stage of the natural gas distribution system, from extraction to delivery in our homes, schools, hospitals, and businesses. And fossil fuel use, both indoor and outdoor air pollution, that's not only harmful to our health, but also is a significant contributor to climate change. But the good news is we already have all the tools and technologies we need to transition away from fossil fuels. So we're really glad you're here to help us bring that vision to life. And I will pass it over to Betta for the next slide.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Great to see you. Betta Broad, Campaign Director of New Yorkers for Clean Power and Director of Advocacy at the Association for Energy Affordability. And we are going to run through the budget priorities really quickly. If you go to our link tree, which hopefully someone will drop a link to that in the chat, you can access all of our great memos. We have one that encompasses all of these incredible priorities that are going to help us invest in climate solutions, transition our buildings off of fossil fuels, and also save money. So it's all about energy affordability and climate solutions being a winner that we can do together, much the opposite of what our opposition over in the gas industry is saying. So, but we know the truth. And so that's why we're pushing for the governor who last year invested $1 billion in the Sustainable Future program. We want her to hopefully come around to doing that again because she didn't include it in her executive budget. But we're going to push for the Senate to include it in their one house budget and also the Assembly in their one house budget. 200 million for Empower Plus, which I think Andra is going to get more into Empower Plus, why that's so important. The Green Affordable Pre-Electrification Fund, which we got $2 million for last year to kick that off, but that's definitely not enough. So we're continuing to push for the 200 million that we need to really get that program on its feet. And help people do the essential work that's necessary before you electrify. We also want to have added money for customers that are on delivered fuels like oil and propane, help them make the switch to heat pumps. The $200 million that would go towards public thermal energy networks, that was included last year in the Sustainable Future program. I'm just also admitting people if someone else as a host and can admit people I'm running through this because people are still joining. Yay. And then we have the ASAP Act, which I'm going to talk about in a second a little bit more. Extending J51, which is a New York City law that would help make Local Law 97 a lot more feasible and affordable for co-op and condo owners so that they could have a tax abatement for upgrades that they need to do on their buildings. That needs to be extended because it's expiring in 2026. The governor did actually include that in her executive budget, so that was a positive. And then, of course, our old friend, amend the obligation to serve gas, which we desperately need to have that public service law amended so we can really decarbonize at scale. And last but not least, I'm going to be talking about saving the Weatherization Assistance Program. So, WAP is a program that's been around for 50 years, believe it or not. WAP is celebrating its 50th year. Tens of thousands of people all over the country are helped every year through this program that assists low income residents have more insulated homes through air sealing and insulation and doing really essential energy efficiency measures, health and safety, checking for things like carbon monoxide leakages. I've been hearing a lot of stories about how WAP installers have really saved people's lives in critical situations. And unfortunately, this really great program that is helping so many people live in healthier, safer, more affordable homes because it permanently reduces their utility bills by reducing their energy use. This program and also switches out where possible old antiquated heating equipment and appliances. In fact, in Ulster County, where I live, we have a great program helping mobile homeowners switch to heat pumps from delivered fuels. So it's helping a lot of people, and we want to keep this program going. And thankfully, the federal government, believe it or not, actually voted unanimously, it had bipartisan support to continue to fund this program and even increase this program. So now we're facing a decision from OTDA, which is the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance, that they want to, instead of continuing to have the 10% of HEAP funding, the Home Energy Assistance Program funding, go to WAP as it historically has, 10 to 15% of that budget go to support the WAP agencies across the state. They want that to just go to bill assistance, and that would pretty much wipe out the program because it makes up 60% of the WAP budget. So this would mean that the 48 nonprofits across the state that administer WAP would have a severe budget cut. Over half their budget would be gone. They'd have to lay people off, and some counties would lose WAP services altogether, especially folks in rural areas that are already being hit hard by many of the decisions made by the Trump administration. So we really want to make sure that this doesn't happen. We want to save WAP. And so we're urging the legislators to come to the rescue and include in their one house budgets language to maintain the 10% of HEAP funding for WAP. So this wouldn't be new funding from the state in this tough budget year, but this is just maintaining that federal funding of the 10%. So it's not much to ask for a program that does a lot of good for vulnerable families and also, of course, reduces our reliance on fossil fuels by reducing our energy use and electrifying wherever possible. Next up is the Accelerate Solar for Affordable Power, the ASAP Act, and that's Lisa Marshall speaking earlier this week at a press conference in Albany about it. Today's Lisa's birthday, by the way, so those of you who know her, please send her a note saying happy birthday. We love Lisa. And we love this bill. It's a very important bill that would help to accelerate solar and storage in New York. It would increase the distributed solar goal to 20 gigawatts by 2035. Distributed solar, as many of you may know, is one of the only areas of our climate goals that we're actually winning. And so this would help us take it to the next level. And I like to think of this bill as kind of part of the abundance agenda. For those of you who are familiar with that Ezra Klein, Derek Thompson book, that's kind of all the rage among talking heads. But it basically making government work better, making the interconnection process more streamlined, accelerating permitting, getting rid of a lot of the red tape that slows down solar. So this would help get more solar on rooftops and also community solar. And overall, there's a new study that shows that this would save $1 billion every year for New Yorkers, as well as creating 15,000 jobs. And just in general, obviously, solar has a lot of benefits and really goes hand in hand with electrification because it reduces our energy bills, our electric bills. So in my house, we have heat pumps and we're also community solar subscribers, saving 10% a month. And I think if you own your own solar panels, if they're on your roof, you save about 30%. So very cool to get this it would be very cool to get this in the budget. And hopefully we can all be supporting this as we go around in Albany on March 25th. Our big mobilization we're going to be hearing more about. And oops, sorry, going backwards here. Eee. Okay, Empower Plus. I am now going to pass it over to Andra to talk about Empower Plus, which is a very similar program as WAP, but it's run by NYSERDA, whereas the WAP program is administered through HCR, Homes and Community Renewal. So two big New York State agencies, similar program that helps people. Andra?
Thanks, Betta. I'm
Oops.
Andra. I'm the program director at Alliance for a Green Economy. And I'd like to talk to you about Empower Plus because the photos on this slide are from my mom's heat pump installation this past summer. She signed up to have this work done through the Empower Plus program 1 week before it stopped accepting applications. So we just got it done in time. So yeah, Empower Plus is the state's signature energy affordability program. It's for 1 to 4 family buildings. It provides home insulation, air sealing, and in some cases, electrification of heating, and sometimes also the required electrical upgrade to go with that. Empower Plus contractors make the homes of New Yorkers more affordable to heat and cool, more comfortable, healthier, and safer. Empower Plus is really popular and it's really successful. It provides grant money for low and moderate income households. In 2024, the program upgraded the homes of 30,000 LMI residents. And it was doing so well because 3 years ago, there was a healthy amount of budget money put into it. So the program was really working and helping the people who need it the most. But last year, the money for Empower Plus dropped a lot and sent the program administrators into a panic. And they stopped allowing contractors to put in applications, and that spiraled into problems for some of the contractor world and for LMI homeowners. The photos on the slide make me so happy. So now we're fighting to restore the success of the Empower Plus program. A positive step happened in December when some money was allocated from another source, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. But that money was not nearly enough for NYSERDA to open the program back up and start serving households again. In January, there was another positive step when Governor Hochul put $50 million for Empower Plus in her executive budget proposal. Yet that's not enough. So we need to get Empower Plus back on a safe and strong trajectory and keep it on that trajectory because contractors need to know that there's going to be steady, predictable funding year to year. They need to hire and keep workers. They need to build trust with households over time, and then to have the grants available when a homeowner makes the choice to move forward with a project. So the funding needs to be consistently available. And now, with utility bills and fuel bills continuing to rise, we need this program more than ever. It's a smart way to invest in cleaner heat and lower bills. And while we're very grateful to see the governor supporting this program by putting $50 million into her budget proposal, it's not enough, so we're fighting for $200 million for Empower Plus in the budget. Next slide, please. So, Empower Plus, the Weatherization Assistance Program, and some other grants don't reach as many LMI households as they should. Many homes, especially older ones, have pre-existing conditions such as mold, lead, asbestos, or deferred maintenance to doors, windows, roofs, attics, basements, the wiring and walls, and all of those need to be addressed before Empower Plus or weatherization work can begin. But that deferred maintenance and pre-existing condition work is not covered by these existing programs or any others. And if the homeowner can't afford to have that work done, the project just doesn't go any further. And this is where the GAP fund would help. Say there's a hole in the roof that would cost $700 to $1,000 to fix. So $700 to $1,000 of GAP fund money to fix the roof would then be used to fix it, and then it would unlock like $10,000 worth of grant funding from Empower or other programs for other crucial affordability work. An interesting fact someone shared with me, all the Clean Energy Hub programs across New York State did an assessment of needs in their first year, and all of them identified that there was no source of money to fix homes that have these kind of barriers so that they could access the existing programs that we have money in. And this was the case everywhere from the Adirondacks to Buffalo. So last year we asked for 200 million for the GAP fund in the budget, and GAP received a small amount of seed funding. It received 2 million. That's not nearly enough. So we're again asking for 200 million for the GAP fund. And now to tell you how Empower Plus impacts real people and why GAP funding is so crucial is Matt Dennis. He is the Senior Home Solutions Expert at Halco Home Solutions. Take it away, Matt.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks everybody for being here and thanks for the invite. Um, so, uh, for those of you who don't know, Halco works primarily in the Finger Lakes, Central New York, and the Southern Tier. We're a whole home solution company. We do all the insulation, HVAC, heat pumps, solar, for homes, and we're one of the largest companies that works with the Empower Plus programs with NYSERDA, along with the litany of other programs that they have. Our goals are try to make houses more comfortable and more energy efficient and help folks out. And I'm going to show you a little case study of a project we did where we were able to utilize a lot of funding that was available through different sources to better a home. And this is one of those homes where if there was the GAP funding, it would have been a lot easier to get done. The customer, I think he came out of pocket a few dollars, but we did quite a bit of work with what we had available. So, that first slide for me. So this is an old 1800s farmhouse in Erin, New York, which is just outside Horseheads, or headed that direction anyway. The house had almost no insulation in it. They had an oil boiler that had died. It was in terrible shape. They used a pellet stove and some space heaters to keep the house warm. Young family, a couple, two or three young kids, and doing the best they can with what they had, which unfortunately wasn't a whole lot. This particular instance, we had a wet basement, like I said, no insulation on the walls or the attic, or sparse anyway, and the house is incredibly air leaky, as far as drafty, losing heat like crazy through air leakage. So there's a lot that needed to be done to make this house what we would consider, moderately efficient, and what we would use the term heat pump ready, which means the house is, at a state where the heat pumps can effectively heat the home properly. So really, at the end of the day, what we were trying to do for the homeowner was save them money, make the house more comfortable, and make it so they didn't have to kind of live by cordoning off pieces of the house. Next slide. um, so we were able to utilize the Empower program and the New York State Clean Heat program for heat pumps to do quite a bit in this house. As you can see, there's the top right corner is some spray foam and a knee wall. Bottom right corner is a heat pump water heater, and on the left side is the air source heat pump that we installed in the ductless mini splits. This house, as I recall, there was no direct heat source in most of the house, including the second floor where the bedrooms were, and they literally just had plug-in space heaters. Which are plug-in space heaters are not a permanent heating solution. They are a temporary solution, but unfortunately, more often than not, we go into homes that folks are using space heaters because their existing heating system is just not adequate enough to heat the house because it's poorly insulated, or they just don't have the right heating system. So we did a ton of insulation in the attic, the knee walls, the walls themselves, the basement, crawl space. I don't think we have pictures of the wet basement, but my first day that I was there, I went down the basement and stepped in 3 inches of water on the basement floor because the basement had pretty much had flooded out, and that's actually what killed the boiler. So we were able to put a sump pump. We couldn't do the extensive basement waterproofing that we would prefer because we ran out of funding, but we were able to put in a sump pump and at least keep it, to tackle the wetness and keep it as dry as possible. There was also the electrical service had to be upgraded too because it was completely rotted out. So we had to deal with that too. Next slide. So this is kind of how the program broke down. So the NYSERDA Empower grant covered of all of the insulation work. So that was great. Didn't cost them a thing. Yes, you're absolutely right. It did save the house from fire. When we were putting in the sump pump, the electrical panel sparked and melted fried a wire while the guys were working before we got the electrician out to do the service upgrade. So yes, absolutely was definitely a hazard. The air source heat pump system, the electrical service upgrade, and the sump pump was about $28,000. The New York State Clean Heat rebate covered $6,600. The Empower at the time, Empower had a pilot program for heat pump conversions for Empower customers. So we were able to get another $20,000 on top of that. That pilot program is not around anymore. But if we didn't have that particular option, that's another $20,000 that we would have. Truthfully, the homeowners didn't have the means. That wouldn't have been a situation that they would have been able to do, even with long-term financing. It would have been incredibly challenging for them, and which is what if we had gap funding, this is what it would do. The gap funding would help where Empower fails. So as you can see on the right hand side, they were using about 6 tons of pellets, which for a small 2,000 square foot house, that's a lot of pellets. And another 10,000 kilowatt hours of electricity for heating. For those, to put that into perspective, the average New York State home that does not heat with electric, it heats with fossil fuels of some kind, uses about 10,000 kilowatt hours a year for just lights, TV, refrigerators, stuff like that. So they were using that just for heat in the winter. So crazy. Their electric bill was bananas. 12 cents a kilowatt hour, which I'd love to see again. That's not the case anymore. So if they were still heating with that same heating source, it would have broken, at today's rates. So afterwards, a $900 a year savings over electric heat and pellets. I think they kept the pellet stove and they liked it for ambiance, so I think they still use it from time to time. And their total electricity went from 10,000 kilowatt hours a year for heat to about 7,500 kilowatt hours for the entire house, including the heat pumps. So ridiculous amount of savings. And at the bottom, you can see the annual fuel savings at $47,000 because fuel prices costs have 30 cents a kilowatt hour. You're right. So you can imagine at current rate, and that's not projected, that's simple savings. So you project that with inflation and rate increases, it's well over $100,000 a year being saved at that house. Next slide. So yeah, at the end of the day, no more oil, which was great because the oil tank also had a leak in it. I could smell it as soon as I got into the basement. The air leakage was reduced drastically. Our blower door test initially, we couldn't even get the thing to pressure, so we reduced it significantly. A 50% reduction in air leakage is huge. On average, most insulation air sealing projects net somewhere between 25-ish% air leakage reduction. So 50% was crazy high. Oh, yeah, get the pellet stove. And the house is comfortable, and now they also have air conditioning. So comfort, safety, efficiency, cost savings. Those are what we're after when we go into a house. And it's really important that we do right by folks and help them out where we can. And the biggest challenge we always run into is we just we go into so many homes where there's stuff that's beyond what NYSERDA is capable of funding. The folks that have little to no means to tackle the stuff that shuts us down. We literally have projects that we grind to a halt because we have a leaky roof or wet basement or mold or asbestos or a million other things that stop us from doing our work because we can't work in a house that's hazardous and we can't just leave it as is. So we basically, unfortunately, the New York State has the oldest housing stock in the country. When a lot of these houses need more than just yanking out the furnace and slapping in a heat pump. I'd love to do that all day, every day. If that were the case, I'd be home early every day, and I wouldn't have to think about anything. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So yeah, these are things we need to help folks out and take care of them. I think that's my last slide, right? Yep. Is this me?
We can just skip the next two slides.
Oh, okay.
Over that before you started speaking.
And yeah, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or I don't know if we're going to do an open Q&A, but I'll be happy to stick on and answer any questions you guys may have.
I think it's easiest if people put their questions in the chat. And I think we budgeted about 5 minutes for that. So if people do have questions, go right ahead and pop them in there.
Yeah, Dave, the 12 cents a kilowatt hour. We did this project a couple of years ago when the price was 12 cents a kilowatt hour. Call for an estimate for air sealing was told it was $8,000. Patricia, I'm not sure. I would need more context to comment on that. I don't see any questions, so.
Well, if people don't have any questions at this time, you can always write to us later or contact Matt at Hako. Oh, sorry, here we go.
What geography do you get your highest demand from? Are you saying like what part of the region do we do the most work, the most project, Peter? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, or urban rural.
It varies. I will say Halco as a whole, we a huge portion of our work is done in the Finger Lakes, Ithaca, Tompkins County is probably accounts for about 20-25% of all of our work. We're very popular in Tompkins County. But yeah, it's a mix. It really is. I mean, we've got many projects in the inner cities of Syracuse and Rochester, and there's plenty of work to be done there. And then but I would say a lot of rural. I know some of the weatherization agencies sort of target inner cities, and it's because it's kind of easier to kind of do a whole neighborhood at a time. But yeah, we're spread out pretty well, so it's kind of all over the place. I have heard of vermiculite. I see it periodically. It does not always contain asbestos, so I'll fill you in on that. So, vermiculite itself is absolutely harmless. It's a mineral. It's found in potting soil. However, there's a mine in Libby, Montana, where 80% of all the vermiculite in the United States was mined in the 60s and 70s, and probably earlier than that too. And it was found later into the 80s that there was an asbestos vein that ran through that mine. So when we come across vermiculite, we have to treat it as if it's asbestos contaminated, even though we don't know for sure without testing it. There's no way to tell by just looking at it. You have to do a test to see if it came from that mine, and even if it did come from the mine, there's no real way to know for sure that there is asbestos in that sample. Because attics are huge and there's a lot of material up there. So it's kind of a crapshoot. We work with some asbestos abatement company that does that will remove it for us. It's good to get rid of it, but if it's undisturbed, it's been there a long time. It's not like it's going to hurt you. Asbestos is a challenge when it becomes airborne, when you breathe it in. But yeah, if you happen to have vermiculite in your home, doesn't mean the sky is falling, but be mindful of it. And you can get it tested. You can take a sample and mail it in, and they can tell you at least if it came from that mine. But most of it did. The other 20% came from Canada. Oh, what else? Concrete and inspiring. Well, appreciate that, Mara. Thank you. How far south in New York State do you work? So Halco, our service territory, takes us right to the Pennsylvania border. So pretty much from Lake Ontario to the Pennsylvania border, and then Syracuse to Rochester, and then a little further out. Have you seen more interest in areas with old homes, day or week events? What are you asking, Peter?
Well, I know some small towns will have a old homestay or old homes week. I think
Oh,
this,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean we see those periodically when they come up. Sometimes different organizations will have like like tabling events and things like that. If we find them and we're invited, we're always happy to participate. But it depends. A lot of old home stuff I think is more geared toward, hey, look at the history, kind of showing off the uniqueness of the house, not necessarily the energy efficiencies. Anybody else? Oh, Dave says there's always treated borax fiber shredded cellulose blown into the space between the. Yeah, yep, yeah. Cellulose is a pretty common material. It's we usually use it for dense packing walls and blowing in attic flats that aren't utility spaces.
Okay, I think we need to move on if we're going to get through our presentation. Thank you so much, Matt, and
Mhm.
thanks everyone for your questions. And maybe, Matt, you can answer some of the questions in the chat if they're
Yep, I'll answer them as they pop up here. I'll try to chime in.
super. Next slide, please, Betta. All right, so this is mine to remind you how you can find anything you need to lay your hands on that's RHN related. Every RHN link that you need lives in our link tree. When I learned this and learned to train myself to go there and look there first, I never had to search for where I had squirreled away a memo or anything like that since I started doing that. So I beg you to go to the RHN link tree and bookmark it, and you will feel so empowered, and you will know what's going on, and you'll know where to sign up for things and how to get your hands on those memos that you need. Next slide, please. All right, and here is my favorite slide of all. I love knowing the landscape. I love having a map, and this is like my map of the legislative session. So it shows where we were, where we are, and where we're going. So in January, right, we had the state of the state, the executive budget came out. We had our first power hour of the year, our response to the governor's budget. The budget hearings began during the last week of January. We started planning our mini lobby days, and we started planning the big March 25th mobilization. Now it's February. It seems like time passed in a flash. So we've got mini lobby days going. We had one on the 4th and the 10th, and we have one coming up on the 24th. We're in this power hour, and we're going to send some letters to assembly members tonight and tomorrow morning. We will have instructions for that, and we're going to ask all of you to join a call relay. We'll have information about that later. I was going to say later in the show. It kind of feels like a show, doesn't it? We have senator and assembly member letters going to leadership. We have budget hearings ending at the end of the month, and we are doing a lot of recruiting for that March 25th mobilization. And we have an outreach toolkit for everybody to check out and use. We have images, we have text, we have things that you can include in your newsletters, and somebody will pop a link in the chat at some point. So in March, we're going to continue with the mini lobby days. We're inviting people to email Lisa Marshall if they're interested in joining, and Jen will, maybe I will tell you more about those lobby days later on in this program. So we also are going to be supporting the New York Renews mobilization that's taking place on March 10th. We had a really great collaboration 2 years ago when they were also supporting New York Heat, and we would do our mobilizations together and support each other's initiatives. And we're going back to that model. We'll have a power hour in exactly 1 month. In mid-March, we'll see the One House budgets. So now we already have the executive budget proposal from the governor. In mid-March, we will see what the Assembly and the Senate put in their One House budgets. And then after those come out, then it's the three-way budget negotiations, right? Where the administration and the Senate and the Assembly all get together and try to figure out and deal and compromise and argue and get to work towards a final budget. We have our mobilization on the week before the budget is due. It's a great time to be in Albany and to advocate for the things that we want to make sure stay on the table, don't fall off the table, don't get swept under the rug. And it's also good positioning in case any odd and harmful things pop up in the budget that we need to mobilize to work against. So we are very well positioned with that date. We have transportation in place. We would love you to register tonight so that you keep getting updates. And please invite your friends and your networks to go too. It's going to be a great day. So then we get to April and it gets a little bit more murky, right? The final budget is due on the 1st, but it's been late. I think last year it came out May 8th. So it was, like we had that extra 5 weeks of worrying and working on that. But whenever it comes out, we'll do a response to the budget. We'll have our power hour in April. And then when the budget comes out, we'll get to see what we've been advocating for. Is it in there? Is it not in there? What do we do? Do we push on the bills as standalone bills and try to get them passed before the end of the legislative session? What do the bill sponsors want us to do? What can we work with? And throughout this session and beyond, we need to keep defending our climate law. There have been a lot of attacks in the media on the climate law. Some Republican legislators have expressed opposition and wanting to weaken it or even tear pieces of it off. We will keep protecting that because it forms the basis of everything we do. And so stay tuned for actions that we might need to alert you about. So, then comes May and June and we'll do a power hour. We do more work. We work really hard. We might rush to Albany again. The legislative session is scheduled to end on June 4th. And most of the time it ends on time. And then after that, we'll go through what we accomplished, what happened, how we did it, and do a little follow up and a little tying loose ends together. So that's basically our campaign for this session. Next slide, please. All right, mini lobby days. They have started. We have had 2 so far on the 4th and the 10th. The concept of the mini lobby day is no fuss, no muss, right? People who are coming get themselves to Albany. They know enough about like how to do that, where to park, how to get to the Dunkin' Donuts to meet the greeter there. We'll have materials for you printed. We'll have a walk sheet with like room numbers, where to go. It's also very flexible if you want to meet with certain legislators. You can certainly do that during that time. What they did in the past 2 weeks was meeting with legislators, and some were people they were asking to get onto certain bills. Some were people that they wanted to talk to about our budget priorities, but also some other budget priorities for that organization. They did off the floor lobbying. They delivered the RHN budget memo and the individual program and bill memos to offices. They participated in that press conference that was hosted by our allies on the ASAP Act. And I asked today how those days went and asked for some feedback. And they said they felt excited. They felt they had an immediate impact. And they said it was really hot running around the LOB and the Capitol, and advised that people dress in layers so that you can keep like taking off your sweaters and taking off your shawls. So we'll have more opportunities for those mini lobby days on February 24th, March 4th, March 11th, and March 18th. And if you want to sign up, you should email Lisa Marshall and let her know. And I'll pop her email. Oh, someone just did that already. Thank you so much. Yeah, mini lobby days. It's a great way to connect with your legislators, stopping in their offices, seeing them in the halls, and it's a great way to connect with other people in the movement, as you can see in the photo. Okay, passing it to Jen.
Thanks, Andra. So, apologies, we don't have a spiffy one-click tool ready for this ask, but we do have 2 important requests for our assembly members, majority assembly members only, unfortunately. And we think that they're the most strategic asks that we have right now, and we need to do this before Friday afternoon because, yeah, they have communications to leadership due on Friday. So we have a little doc with some instructions to help you find your assembly member by clicking on this assembly member search link. You type in your address which I just dropped these instructions into the chat. I'm going to drop in the assembly member search. If you know that your assembly member is in the minority party, you can just skip this, sorry. But you can find your assembly member by typing in your address, clicking locate, then visit the assembly members page, and then click contact, and you'll find their email address there. And you'll copy their email address into a new email. And then in the doc that we linked, there's a script or a email template. So you just need to type their last name and then your name and zip code. We're asking them to co-sponsor the GAP Fund legislation and to sign Assemblymember Kellis's letter to support the program, and then also to sign on to Assemblymember Bronstein's letter supporting the J51 tax exemption and abatement program. So please do that. And when you've done that, please put an emoji in the chat so we can see that you've done it. Thanks. Next slide, please, Betta. So, we had such a great time with all of you in Albany at our December mobilization, which pushed the 100-foot rule repeal over the finish line. So, Renewable Heat Now and our allies are going back to Albany at the end of March. We're hoping to gather about 150 advocates from across the state, from Buffalo to Brooklyn, and everywhere in between. So, to convince our legislators to include energy affordability and climate solutions in the budget this year. Um, Systemic problems require systemic solutions. So, we're really fighting for funding that will help our communities reduce our reliance on costly polluting fossil fuels. And we're organizing buses from Manhattan, Rochester, Syracuse, and Utica. And we'll also organize some carpools. So if you want to join us, but you need help with transportation, just let us know and we'll see what we can do. And it's going to be a really fun day. We'll sing together. We're planning a big rally with community and legislator speakers. And then we'll have lunch together in the Legislative Office building on the third floor terrace, where you'll have a chance to get to know some other climate advocates from across the state. And then, as Andra said, we'll be in Albany during the final round of budget negotiations when Governor Hochul, Assembly Speaker Hasty, and Senate Majority Leader Stuart Cousins are hashing out all the final details. So, it's a really important moment to show up. It's kind of our last chance to make sure they hear us loud and clear, and we can't do that without you. So please make sure you sign up. And if you're not sure if you can make it, you can sign up anyway. We'll send you updates and we'll be calling folks to confirm their attendance. So you can just let us know you can't make it. But it's great to um, sign up so you keep getting information. We also have a short link, which I'm going to drop in the chat, and you can share the social media or the outreach toolkit, so you can share on social media. Um, Next slide, please. So we'd also like to uplift another Albany mobilization that's happening 2 weeks earlier on March 10th, and we hope that you can attend both. So New York Renews, one of our key allies in our fight for cleaner heat, lower bills, and climate solutions, is teaming up with Invest in Our New York and Make the Road to call on Governor Hochul to defend New York and fund our future. Governor Hochul continues to prioritize big corporations over the needs of working people while the federal government is cutting essential services. And we know these crises our communities are facing are deeply interconnected. And so this moment really calls for unity. So climate, housing, immigrant health, and economic justice movements are coming together to demand a New York that is sustainable, affordable, and safe for all. And solidarity with these movements is incredibly important right now. So I plan to be there, and I hope that you will too. They also have a one-click letter that I will drop in the chat um, real quick. And or Lorenzo put in the chat. Thank you. So please fill that out as well and send it in. And I just have one more slide, and then I'll let you all go. Just a rundown of the rest of our actions. So please use the instructions to send a letter to your assembly member, Democrats only, and please do it tonight or tomorrow morning if you haven't already, because it's a very timely request. Sign up for the Climate Law Call Relay tomorrow that's organized by Climate Families NYC. And then also, as we said, sign up for the New Yorker News March 10th mobilization, and sign up for our March 25th mobilization. And we're also hosting another Power Hour on March 12th. So I will throw that in the chat as well. Thanks, Len, for emailing your assembly member. Appreciate that. Thanks, Lorenzo. And if you want to join a mini lobby day, please email Lisa Marshall. We'd love to have you. Yeah. And thanks everyone for joining us. Really appreciate spending time together.
Can I stop the share?
Yeah, sure. And hope you all have a great rest of your evening.